Hi everyone, this is MSP 2741, Intro to Leadership. This video and all of the content in this lesson is really designed to help you to better utilize your existing network, all the contacts that you have, all the contacts that you could potentially make, and how to spread your movement through your own leadership. So what I love, I found this great quote. It's kind of the most awesome thing ever. This student described leadership as being so awesome that everyone wants to follow you. And quite honestly, I can't think of a better description of what leadership is. It really is just being so awesome that everyone wants to follow you. But we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that and talk about what that means and how you actually kind of get there. So again, I want you to come back to this lesson when you watch. You can come back and look at this part of the lesson. I put a couple things here, but I just want to read to you this quick paragraph because it really sort of hits home, telling us what leadership really is. So what is leadership? It's a process by which one person influences the thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors of others. Leaders set a direction for the rest of us. They help us to see what lies ahead. They help us to visualize what we might achieve. They encourage us and inspire us. Without leadership, a group of human beings quickly degenerates into argument and conflict because we see things in different ways and lean toward different solutions. Leadership helps to point us in the same direction and harness our efforts jointly. Leadership is the ability to get other people to do something significant that they might not otherwise do. It's energizing people toward a goal. I think this is perhaps one of the best, besides the one I just told you about in the header, one of the best explanations of what leadership is that I've come across. I actually put this whole file right here. You can download that file if you want. But I love that this is really about one person making a significant change, and that's what this whole course is about. It's about each and every one of us doing something that reaches more people than just us, and that tries to do something really positive for more people than just us. And when it comes to leadership, it's really about having a vision and visualizing the things that might be possible, right? That might not exist right now, but that might be possible. And it's about gathering people to your cause, getting them on the same page, and really showing them that there is a path that they can follow that will benefit everyone. So that's a great definition of leadership, and that's what we're kind of going to work from. I also want to talk about how I envision leadership and how that plays out not only in this assignment, in this project, but in your real lives. So I just kind of made a quick chart here of some characteristics that I believe strong leaders have, and it's really important that you look at these and assess whether or not you possess these qualities, right? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And how might your strengths help you to further your social movement, and how might you turn the weaknesses into strengths? So accountability is, I'm going to actually just bump this up so we can see it. Accountability is something that you must have as a leader, and it's something that you should have as a student, right? And as an employee. You need to know, again, your strengths and weaknesses and how you can develop both of those to be better. You follow through on things. If you say you're going to be there, you'll be there. You're on time. And one of the most important, if you make a mistake, you admit it and you fix it. I have coached for many years, and when I talk to my players, I say, I don't care if you make a mistake on the field. Everybody makes mistakes, they're going to happen. It's what you do after the mistake that matters. If I see a kid whiff a ball or, miss a tackle and the girl goes flying by her, and they stand up and go, ugh, oh God, and they just stand there. Get off the field, right? Just go sit down. But if they do that same thing and they turn right around and they sprint after the girl to try and make the next tackle, great. That's the kid I want on my team. So it's not so much about never making a mistake or being perfect. It's about what you do after the mistake. Will you admit it? Will you fix it? Will you at least try to fix it? So accountability is really important, especially in our project, because you are the leader of your own project, right? Anyone that you get on board is going to be looking to you for information. Leaders should also be really self-sufficient, and that is something I'm trying to help you do in this class. You have to be able to read and follow directions, and if you can't, then you're in trouble, right? We can't always go back and retroactively fix things, right? We can't always go back and make them better. Sometimes we have to just deal with the consequences, right? With the zero or with whatever it is. Also, part of self-sufficiency is having multiple channels through which you can find an answer. If you don't know an answer, that doesn't mean you just stop looking, right? You can ask a friend, you can read a book, you can go online, right? It's about finding new ways to get information and always being able to sort of find the answer. It's also about not whining and complaining. Again, finding solutions. Whining and complaining is never going to do anything for you. Feeling sorry for yourself is never going to do anything for you. Um, you have to find solutions. And as you start working towards solutions, the feeling of self pity goes away, right? Also, you want to be compassionate. You need to see things from different angles. You need to respect people's different opinions, even if they don't align with yours, right? And you have to be able to bring people together in a way that, even though they're different, you can show them what is common about them and where they connect. You want to be persistent because it means if you hit a roadblock, you're going to regroup and you're going to get over it, right? Something may knock you down, but that doesn't mean you can't get back up from it, right? You figure it out. Being ambitious is about having a vision and about pushing yourself toward that vision, improving yourself, improving your team, improving your work, and just believing in your vision and in your abilities and in the quality of your work. You also want to be a good listener, right? You will not get anywhere if you just charge forward and leave everyone else who's on board with you just in your wake, right? You have to be able to listen to them and build relationships. And that's where you start sort of learning about people and assigning them roles that fit for them and fit for your organization. You want to be articulate, so you need to be able to write and speak clearly and coherently. Okay? Especially on a website, you don't want spelling errors. You don't want weird wording. You want to come off as very professional. Motivational and inspirational, you need to be able to say the right words at the right time, and know that all people don't respond to the same thing. That's where building relationships and being a good listener comes in. You need to know what motivates people and that those things are often different for different people. And again, building relationships. It's about maintaining contact over time, right? You don't just ask people to do things for you. You build genuine relationships based on mutual respect, and you get to know people. And knowing people extends your network and helps you to grow your project. So the next thing I want to talk about is leadership styles, and there's plenty of research out there about this. You're welcome to go out and learn more based on this, but I just kind of want to do a quick rundown. What I did is I put a couple of different charts here so that you could take a look that there's all different kinds of opinions and theories about leadership. But what I really want you to understand is that there's different ways that you can be a leader, right? Whether it's about setting up the vision and then doling out roles, whether it's about being a mentor or a partner, you inspire people, you facilitate, you lead by doing, you lead by speaking, right? There's all different ways that you can be a leader. It's best if you have, all of those different ways, but know that there are virtues and vices to a lot of these different ways, right? That if you're a forceful leader, you take charge, you're in control, you know how to articulate things, you make tough calls, and yet sometimes you're insensitive, sometimes you're callous or too rigid, right? But it's a balance, and sometimes we need those things, right? We need forceful leaders, sometimes we need enabling leaders, operational leaders, strategic leaders. So it would be a good idea for you to go back to this page, back to these charts, and just kind of see what style seems to naturally fit for you. What do you already do naturally? And what other styles might you want to try, right? Might you want to build? In terms of multiple intelligences, I included this because I think it's really important, again, as a leader, to remember that different people learn in different ways, and different people are motivated by different things. So it's a good idea for you to understand that and to know the different styles of learning, the different intelligences, that when you go into a classroom and teach, these are things that you just sort of always have in the back of your mind. Now, for this project, you might not initially think, oh, that probably doesn't matter that much, but it really does. You are going to get to know a lot of different people, hopefully through this project, whether it's just in our class or outside of that. And it's important to get a feel for what resonates with them, right? Are they verbal? Do they learn by hearing, by reading, by writing? Are they sort of more logical and mathematical? Is it about problem solving for them? Musical, right? It's about rhythms and patterns. So that would be, you want to get people on board with videos, songs, right? Visual and spatial, it's really about organizing ideas, seeing sort of the big picture, right? Bodily and kinesthetic is very action oriented, right? It's very physical. It's the athlete who needs that kind of learning. Intrapersonal, right? Understanding feelings and values and attitudes. Interpersonal, it's about interacting with other people, and that's how they learn. A naturalist, it's really about ordering things, picking up on sort of the nuances of things. And existential, again, it's about the big picture, about connecting different things together. So this is a pretty complete understanding of the different intelligences that are commonly recognized in the educational field. And it's important for you to start seeing people in this way. What are your people's strengths, right? The people who are involved in your cause, what are their strengths? How do they best learn? And how can you take those strengths and help them to develop them in a way that helps your cause? That's really your job as the leader, is to know how everyone functions and to assign them a role in which they will thrive, right? It's also important that you learn how to identify your own intelligences, right? And it can be a mix of these different things. It's not just one necessarily, but you need to assess how you best learn so that you can, number one, understand yourself and what you need to learn, but in knowing that, it actually helps you to teach others. Okay, so this is just a chart I threw together that actually will take it a little bit further in terms of telling you what each type of learning sort of needs to understand things and to learn. So for example, linguistic and verbal people, they need writing and reading and storytelling and word games. That's what they love to do, and they need to have the spoken word. They need to listen to things. So if you're a linguistic and verbal learner, you might not even be watching the video right now. You might just have it on and you're listening to it, and you'll go back later and look at the lesson. That's maybe is how you learn, right? So take a look at this, identify how you learn best and how you can use that in your movement to better the movement and to better the people who are on board with you. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I do again encourage you to come back to this page and take a look more deeply at some of these items. So in terms of building your own leadership and developing your own strengths, you really need to understand what your values are. And this is a little bit more towards like the ethics and morality side, but it's really important just to know what your core values are. This is just a really quick article. If you click on any of these pages, it'll take you to the actual article. And this is really something that'll help you in life, not just in this project. It's about understanding what you like, what you don't like, what's good for you, what's not good for you. So go through all these, and then at the end, I included a little chart that you're welcome to kind of pull off here and use. And really do this. If you have time, do this. Just go through it, even if it's just in your mind, and figure out, when are you happy? When are you proud? When are you feeling fulfilled and satisfied? What are your top values based on a chart that's in this particular section? How can you prioritize those? How do you reaffirm your values? These are important things. If you don't know what you stand for, then you can't do this project. You just can't, because there will be no passion, there will be no understanding. You really need to know what you stand for, what you think is right and wrong, ethical and unethical, all that stuff, in order to move forward in this project and in your life. The next thing I want to talk about is networking, and really leadership and networking go hand in hand. The better you are at being a leader, the more contacts you'll have in your network, and not just random people, but people who respect you, people who genuinely want to help you, people who will support you in your cause and just in your life. When we look over at this quick chart, I find it really helpful to just kind of think about where you would position different people in your life. Already people that you know, people who are already part of your network, you just maybe don't know where they fall into it. Of a couple different rings, the circle of trust, a group of people who would probably do you favors, people who have come out into the next orbit, and then just total strangers, but potentially people who could get on board with your cause or just with human being. And so really think about this in a couple of different quadrants: personal friends, your work friends, your peers, your mentors, family. And when you're thinking of looking to these different people for different things, you really need the contact. You need to ask questions, you need to invest in the relationship, and then inspire people. Now, we're going to get to that part in a little bit. But again, I want to encourage you to look at the network that already exists for you. Who are your friends? Where would they fall in this? Are they your confidants, your best friends? Are they people that are your acquaintances or good friends? Are they people that, you see once in a while, you say hi, you're friendly with them? Are they people that you don't know yet? You need to evaluate how the people closest to you and in maybe this next outer ring will factor into this cause. Will they support you, and how can they support you? And why will they support you? Right? In terms of building relationships, this is something that I think about quite frequently. I think that I'm pretty good at it, although you may not think so depending on how you communicate with me via email. But building relationships is extremely important. I don't think that you can be a good leader unless you can build relationships. And it's important when we think about networking, whether it's for this project or for careers or whatever it's for. You need to understand that networking is not you asking people for things when you need them, right? That's not it at all. Networking is about building relationships and calling on those relationships for various things, right? So that's why it's really important to figure out who you already know and where they fall, right? You might ask your best friend to come help you move your stuff. You might not ask someone that you see in class once a week to come help you move your stuff, right? So in terms of building relationships, I just kind of threw this chart together. I really think it's about 4 things. Initiating, meaning you need to interact with people. You need to be the one to open up dialogue. You need to listen to people. You need to ask questions, and you need to follow up. And it's just really a continuous circle, both in terms of a single relationship and expanding your network. When I talk about initiating communication, what I mean is you send a text, you call someone, you instant message, you email, you send a letter, you take a trip with someone. And again, these things are all going to depend on your existing relationships with those people. So I played sports in college, and one thing that I tried to always do as I became an upperclassman was to spend one-on-one quality time with people, especially the underclassmen, especially people who, had just gotten on campus, right? Or they need to know what classes to take. It's important that you spend quality alone time with people that are important to you, right? That's where you get into the good stuff, into the interesting conversations, into things about their lives that you didn't know, right? It bonds you. And whether it's a text to that person just saying, hey, I just love you, I just wanted to say hi, or a card is awesome. We rarely send letters and cards anymore, so to get that is a really special thing. It could be that you just say, hey, let's go watch this TV show we like together, right? Those are bonding moments, and you need to initiate them, right? Especially if it's someone younger than you, especially if it's someone who's shy, you initiate it. That there is so much power in that. And by power, I mean you can make someone feel so special by initiating something that seems so simple to you. So do that. Okay. Listening. You actually need to listen when someone talks to you, right? All throughout the day, you're probably going to classes, listening to professors like me jabber on, right? Sometimes you're listening, sometimes you're not. Your friend's telling you something stupid you don't really care about. You have to listen. You have to listen when it counts, okay? I really believe that when it comes down to it, people just want to be heard. They just want someone to listen, right? And we neglect that a lot. It's not necessarily about asking questions first, it's about giving people room to say what's on their mind, right? Not cutting them off, letting them speak. And it's really important to, if you're face to face or if you're on like a video chat, to read their facial expressions and their body language. It's important to listen to their tone, because a lot of times we can't necessarily verbalize what we feel, or we're afraid to verbalize what we feel, or embarrassed to, but we subconsciously relay that information through our facial expressions, our body language, our tone. So those things are important too. You want to ask questions and engage people, right? If you just stare blankly at them, that's not a conversation, right? My rule is this. I like to ask the questions that nobody else will ask, the difficult questions, the uncomfortable questions. When I was in college, my mom died, and no one would freaking talk to me about it, right? All I wanted to do was talk about it, was try and hash out what I was feeling with someone. But everyone felt, and they told me this later, a lot of my friends, that if they brought it up, they thought they were going to make a good day bad and a bad day worse. But really, the days were bad because nobody did bring it up. They pretended it didn't happen. And so I have no qualms about asking people about dead loved ones, right? Because I figure if they don't want to talk about it, they won't. But on that off chance that they do want to talk and no one's asked them, well, maybe I could be that person to help them, for them to lean on. So I really think it's important to tactfully ask the difficult questions for people and help them to understand what they're feeling. Follow up, it really just means you need to check back in with people. After a big conversation, an important conversation, you need to check back in with them a little bit later, see how they're doing. Following up with people just in your everyday lives, right? Texting people, letting them know you're thinking about them, doing little favors for them, bringing them little treats, right? A great thing is if you have a friend and you're on campus, they're studying, bring them a hot chocolate, bring them a candy bar, right? Something that just lets them know you're thinking about them. This is how you build relationships. You do things for people because you genuinely care about them. And those little gestures are so incredibly meaningful. And, it's not just about getting them to do something for you, right? And it's not even about this project, it's about you developing lifelong, meaningful relationships. So, in terms of networking, again, it's really important to remember you already have a network, right? You have an existing network of people, parents, family, friends, people that went to Temple or went to other schools you've been to your high school. Um, all these different people that you see regularly, semi regularly, people that are in your life that you already talk to all the time, right? Start there and then build out. You might not get into other networks, right? You might not end up talking to a lot of people you don't know during this project, but the hope is that by the end of the 15 weeks, by the end of the semester, you have a really great starting point, a building block for you to expand your network from people you already know to people that you don't know. Take a look through here. There's a couple of important ideas here. Um, Again, things like networking doesn't mean that you have to just strictly approach people you don't know, right? Start with what you're familiar with and work out. Those are going to be your building blocks, your support system, the people that you already know and who already care about you. This graphic I thought was pretty cool. Again, just like we've been talking about, what we will continue to talk about, goals. They're so, so important. As a leader, you have to have a vision and you have to know what you want to achieve. And so you can think about building your online community, building your movement as a sort of house, right? You need a foundation. You need to know what your values are. You need to know what other people need out of your movement, the people you're trying to help. You need to have a vision and a mission. You need to have goals. You need to be able to reflect on what you're doing, to try and understand what you're doing, and to get the correct message out, the appropriate message out through the right mediums, through the right means, and to really delegate in your community, to be the leader of that community, to make sure that people get along, to make sure that they're all on the same page, to make sure that you're all working towards the same goals, the goals that you decided upon, right? So it's really important to think about what you hope to accomplish through this project, both in the short term and the long term. So you can use the goal setting lesson to help you do that. You want to think about how particular contacts in your network can help you to achieve those different goals. And you need to think about the types of incentive that you're going to be providing for particular contacts in your network to actually help you and perform the role that you're asking them to perform. Even if that role is just, hey, share this link on Facebook. Hey, come visit my website. That's important. You need to start somewhere, and that's important. So don't think that you necessarily have to achieve your long-term goal right away, right? So for example, a couple students are interested in the idea of urban gardening, which is a really cool idea. I think it's a really great project. Um, that doesn't mean that by the end of the 15 weeks, they're going to have an abandoned lot in Center City with a complete garden, right? That's not going to happen in 15 weeks, but they could build the groundwork for that to happen in the near future, right? Later in the summer, next fall, who knows? Um, so there needs to be long-term and short-term goals. There needs to be understanding of like who are you helping? Who would that urban garden be helping? And getting involved might just mean at this stage getting people to spread your message, getting people to share links or share photos or whatever. And later comes the incentive of bringing people in from the area to garden, to learn, to grow, right? Um, Again, in terms of making contact, I know that can often be a very difficult thing, especially if you don't know people and you're trying to contact them. I've had to do that many times for raising money for various things, organizations, and it's not fun, right? It's not a fun thing. But I want you to think about, again, starting with the people you know and how might you best contact them, right? And what exactly are you going to ask them to do? So again, things like sending an email, a personalized email, even if you're sending a mass email, it's a good idea to personalize it and use their name. You might send a Facebook message, a text message. You might connect with them on social media, make a phone call. A lot of business actually gets done on the golf course, the basketball court, the racquetball court. If you have the means to do that, by all means do that, right? That is an important place of business for a lot of different people. In terms of what you're going to ask them, maybe you're providing them a sneak peek, or maybe you're showing them your goals like a business plan. You might be proposing a project, right? So for example, one student has already sent an email in this class asking if anyone wants to collaborate, right? He sent an email, it's to a specific group of people, tells us a little bit about his project. Does anyone want to get on board, right? Proposing a project is a great way to make contact. You want to maybe demonstrate your skills. Maybe you have a personal portfolio and you share that with someone you want to interest. You might direct someone to your website, to your portfolio, ask them a favor, offer them a trade of some kind. If you could do this for me, I'll do something for you, that kind of thing. It's really about learning how to navigate your different relationships and knowing, again, what people need, what they want, and what they're capable of doing. Pretty simple. The bottom line, and this is the real important thing here. The bottom line is this. There's a couple of key elements of leadership that are really going to help you in this project and in your lives. It comes down to this. Leadership is at the center of a couple of different things. You've got to have a vision. What do you actually want to do? What is the overarching purpose of your project? You need to be able to inspire and motivate people. You need to convince them that your project is worthwhile, that it's important, and you need to motivate people to get on board with that ideal. You need follow through. You need to be able to set a goal and follow through with it. You need to be able to get back up if you've hit an obstacle. You need to say, do what you say you're going to do. Be on time to things. Follow through. And the intersections of these main ideas has sort of another set of things, right? Between vision and follow through, again, you need to have goals and you need to create a plan. You can't just go about this on a whim. That's why one of the assignments is to create a plan, right? You need to know the different steps, even if they seem silly or small. You write them down, okay? Between vision and inspiration, you need to be able to organize things, both your website and other people's roles. You need to assign appropriate roles, which means you need to understand how people operate. And then between inspiration and follow through, it's about building relationships, making sure that you connect with people in a genuine way and that you do so because it's fulfilling and it's meaningful, and knowing that as your network expands, you can really take your vision and spread that vision for a positive cause. I'll put a couple of extension readings here. If I find some others, I will certainly add them to this part of the site. Again, this is just an overview of what leadership is, what I believe it to be and what I know it to be, and how you can use it in your projects. So that's all for this particular lesson. I really want you thinking as you move forward about how you can utilize these types of things in your real life, how you can utilize your existing network to spread your movement, spread your cause, and what you can do from here. So that's all for this one. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.